short one on the nature. So what I'm trying to do is to look at the nature of things, how it is, and if we were to follow the nature, we are following exactly what it should be done. Yes, Harry, go ahead.
Are you doing one of the video for your kind of series of
Yes.
video?
Yeah.
Oh, but so that's not so much of the like a discussion, right? I mean, it's just you giving a
That
talk.
was like that, and today I thought we will do on the Rūpa or the form, and we can have a discussion if there is a need for discussion. Otherwise, it's a short one which explains about whatever we are seeing. So if we are able to see it in a real proper way, then the disillusion happens. At present, we
Yes.
are illusioned by the form.
Yes.
So if we understand the nature of the form, then it becomes easy for us to get disillusioned by the form.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so then we can take feelings and perception and the preparation or the willful actions, and then last we can take about vijnana or consciousness.
Yes. Mhm.
So that's the whole, what I can say, idea of understanding nature. In that nature, we can see other nature. So let's start with that, and then you can see. So first thing is that what is form? So the form is something which has a shape or which occupies a space, and you can identify by a shape. Okay, now the question comes, who identifies it? So let's say any being will identify based upon what it is striking. So the six senses gets to have a strike on it, strikes. So now you perceive, that person perceives something is striking to him. It's like an obstacle, and that obstacle has a form. So when I see something, there is an obstacle in front of me. Okay, so it strikes through. It can be through my eyes or through my ears or my nose or my tongue or my body or like that. So if we take a striking object of a eye, the forms strike to the eye. If there were no form, it doesn't strike to the eye. If there were no sound, that wouldn't strike to the ear. If there were no smell, it doesn't strike to the nose. If there is nothing to be touched, then it doesn't strike to the body. Right? So we take only these five: sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. Yes.
But when you take something like a smell, it does not have a shape per se, right?
It has. So that's exactly where we are coming to it. So we get into the subtlety of it, right? Okay. So if you understand the breath has, you can't see a shape, but you can feel the shape. Right? It is touching in your nostril. So when you really get into the smell, yes, smell is a very subtle. So when Buddha explains, he explains it as Rūpa Rūpa, Shabda Rūpa, Gandha Rūpa, Rasa Rūpa, Pottabha Rūpa, like that. So all are Rūpas. Even the thought is a Rūpa. So now we have to come to the gross and then to the subtle and to the subtlest. But all are Rūpas. So now the question comes, what is the form? So it has shape. Now, does it necessarily should have a shape? Need not be. But it should have something which creates that. So there are four elements or dhatus which create that. So one is the earth element, water element, fire element, and air element. Now the question comes, are they separate? Are they together? So the answer is they are always together. They don't separate out. Meaning you can't separate earth from water to fire to air. All the four are in one. So it not only has the a form, or let's back up a little and then look at it. Now, if I want to have an sorry, earth element separated out of water element and fire element and air element, that is not going to happen. So when I see something, if I touch my skin, it not only has the earth element, which is hardness, softness. If you close your fist, you will see little bit of water. So you will find the water element, and also it has cohesion. So if there were no cohesion, then the skin will start peeling off. So we call that as dry skin, meaning it is not able to join together. Then we have the fire element. So there is warmth, and then there is air element. There is a movement. Okay. These four are going to be there in every, we can call it as atomic structure, and that is can be termed as kalapa, as a one Pali word, or we can call it as Siddhastaka, wherein you have these 8. So when I see a form, the form basically gives me an illusory nature that something is going to be there as it is. Okay. I mean to say that the shapes are not going to change. But if we see, including buildings or whatever it is, it keeps on getting eroded. So you need to repaint it, rework on that, and then it seems to be doing all right. So basically, if we see what is happening in the environment, the nature is, each one of these keeps on moving. They are not stationary. So the nature, like this body, you need to refuel the earth element, the water element, fire element, air element, which is in the food. Whether little bit or more, if I eat little, the body is shrunk. If I eat more, then the body is expanding. Meaning, too much of these elements are there in the body. If I eat less, too less, so body is shrunken. If I see this, there is no person there. There is no personality there. There is nothing I to be said there. It's very simple. If somebody eats more, he becomes fat. If somebody eats less, he becomes lean. And that's the law of nature. It's not that I want to become fat. It's not that I want to become lean. There's no I to become anything there. You stop eating permanently, what happens? All the stored resources are going to get used up, and then the body starts burning everything that is around there. In that way, the person dies. Meaning that house is no longer in a proper shape for the consciousness to continue. So what happens? Let's say I don't eat for next 15 days. I'm not going to die, but these things will start to become peeled up, because the body starts consuming, meaning it starts burning off. So metabolism sets in, which has been there. So the nature automatically takes care of itself. So if we don't eat for next 15 days, nothing is that going to happen except that the face get, wherever there was fat, wherever there were anything can be used, the body starts using it. That means when we say using it, what is happening? The Patvi, the Apo, Tejo, Vayu, these 4 keeps on going away. Now where does it go? It goes back to nature. It's there, it's falling, You refuel it, you are making it equal. Now you don't refuel it, the consumption keeps on going. It keeps on consuming. So when it keeps on consuming, the form now becomes shrunken. Just like if you see a tree or a creeper or a small plant, same thing. You don't water it, it dries up. You don't put water and fuel food to this body, it has the same effect. Or on the flight, you don't drink water, then you get dehydrated. What it means is that there's no longer any water to hold the body, so it gets shrunken. The face gets shrunken up. So you can ask that person, "You're tired." So basically, what we are seeing in the nature is the form, wherever it exists and however it exists, is only these four elements, nothing else. So the sights are seeing that the sound also has a frequency. And when we say frequency, what is the frequency? It also has this in a subtle form. It's four elements in the space. Because space is there, sound is there. So we can see this forms as gross or as subtle. These two. Olarika, Sukuma. Olarika means gross, Sukama means subtle. But all are forms. So if the form is there, it is going to be formed and deformed. Both are going to happen. If something is formed, it has to get deformed. So even in law of thermodynamics, we see that the atoms are held together by heat. So as soon as the heat is reduced, it starts falling. In the same way, every moment this body keeps on changing. Not that I am getting changed. The body keeps changing. Why? The same nature. That it gets formed, deformed, formed, deformed. This kind of formation and deformation is what we have to really experience. And when we experience that, we experience it as anicca, arising and passing away. So the body is arisen and it is fading away, falling away. So when the consciousness departs from that body and is no longer there, so it just gone. So now the body cannot multiply. So there is no energy which can do this metabolic activity. And hence, the body by itself get disintegrated. Because there is no external energy to hold on to it. So what I wanted to cover up was on what is this form. Form is something which you can feel either through sight, through sound and taste and touch and smell and thoughts. Now how can I see it? At least see the gross, if not the subtle. And the gross, when I see it, it strikes. So when it strikes to the eye or to the ear or to the body or whatever it is, I see a person sitting here. Whereas it's just a form. It's just a form. It's arising and passing away. Or formed and deformed. Except for these two, there is nothing else there. So the nature, if we really were to see, it brings up and destroys. So Udaya arises, Vyaya passes. So sun rises and sun sets. Sun is a form, it's a shape, it has heat, comes up and it grows and it falls. Okay, so this is what we need to see about form. If we see form in this way, the disillusionment happens. because there's nothing illusory about it. I can't take that to be a person. So, eso na mama. This is not mine. I can't claim this earth element is mine. This water element is mine. Air element is mine. Fire element is mine. Or a combination of these four is mine. Because it keeps on moving. And it's there in the nature. It's there here. What is there in the nature is exactly here. Or what is here is there in the nature. And hence I cannot call it as mine. What is not mine cannot be called as it belongs to me. So, eso na aham asmi. This cannot be said as belonging to. There's no belongingness. It doesn't belong. It doesn't say that I belong to you. I might say you belong to me because I have no idea what is happening. But by itself has no belongingness. It doesn't say I belong to you. I feel very unhappy leaving you. No. If that were true, you wouldn't feel hungry. Basically, you're feeling hungry, or I'm feeling hungry for the very reason that it is not staying. It's ceasing. So I have to refuel it. If I don't refuel it, what happens? It starts eating up. So all the sugars, all the protein, all the minerals, all that which we are talking is nothing but what is there in the nature. If somebody says sodium has gone down, potassium has gone down, something else has gone down, what is he trying to say? What is there in nature is getting reduced, and hence the body is not capable of doing what it was doing. So we have to go and refuel potassium, calcium, on all those minerals which are the building block of this body. Simple. And they don't have any kind of desire to stay with me. They are not attached to me. I am attached to them. They are not attached to me. So now what I am learning is that I am not attached to them either, because they don't ask my permission. If they don't ask my permission, then where's a question of claiming that this form is mine, that I own this form. So, eso na me at. This cannot be called as myself. So, what is in nature is in nature. Nobody can take the nature out and say that I am this. So, that's not possible. So, what we covered so far is what is form. Now, we can go subtle to it on the other senses. Now, what we are talking about is this physical form and everything physical about it, meaning physical chair, physical table, physical everything, because they have created shapes. So the consciousness can identify shapes. It knows. So we don't have to teach shapes. We have to only teach what the shape is. So it knows the shape. Now you need to tell that, hey, this is stable. Then it takes it as stable. So this is the magician. Consciousness is a magician because it now not only remembers, it exactly behaves the way you want it to behave. So when I see a table, it doesn't call it as a chair. It says a table. Then if you see a chair, it will call it as a chair. In the same way, now if I see you, I call you Aryu, even though there is no Aryu sitting out there. It's only elements. And if I see, I can say Sachin. And it knows it's a Sachin. Absolutely 100% true. That's a magician job. To do something which really doesn't exist. So when we see the form factor, you need to designate something. So the gross forms have a designation. So that we can identify it again and again. So that becomes nimitta, symbolization. When we symbolize, we are going away from the nature. Why? Because this is mind created now. It was not there. The original is to arise and pass away, but what is created in the mind stays. So now I don't want this shape to go away. But by the very nature, the shape can change, and it keeps changing. So whomever I call it as my son or my wife and my this, my that, their shape keeps on changing, which I will define it as growth. They're growing and they're aging and they're dying. But if we really see what is happening, they are neither growing nor they are decaying nor they are dying. What they are doing is the elements are going up and down and up and down and up and down. That's all what is happening. So the illusion here is to take what is untrue to be true, and hence the suffering. The yathabhuta jnana is seeing as it is to see this body, what it is made up of, and penetrate. See whether what is in nature, that is outside, isn't it not the case inside? And if inside and outside remain the same, how can I claim it as mine? In this way, we can come out of internal element and an external element, because they both are elements. So if we are able to catch this form, the nature of form, the nature of form is very simple. Earth, water, fire, air, joining together in everything, in the wall, to this board, to this table, to whatever we see, they come as one. So you can't further divide it. That is what Buddha found, that you can't further divide. So if there is earth element, it should have color. Everywhere you find solidity, you find color. If there is liquid element, then there should be something which keeps on flowing. So he called that as rasa, which is sticky in nature but flowing. So if there is apo, then rasa. If there is tejo, then it should have oja. Oja means nutrients. If there is a radiation, it brings in nutrients as. So in earth, if we see, there is nutrient. Like an example, earthworm, it eats the earth. So there is nutrients in the earth. And it is, the temperature is either hot or cold, but both are part of tejo. And the vayu, if there is any movement anywhere, it's due to vayu. So it should have gandha. So if I am saying the smell comes to the nose and there is no shape to it, it's wrong. Why? If I bring my nose to the anywhere in the body, it smells. No matter whether I put soap or not or whatever it is, there is a typical body smell. And if you keep your nose everywhere, there is a smell, because there is movement and there should be smell. So this 4 plus this 4 come together in everywhere. So now I understood what is form and what is the nature of form. The nature of form is to arise and pass, or there is keep on moving from this to that, this to that. So the shapes keeps on changing. So if my body is changing, it's a very clear indication that it cannot be mine. If I'm feeling hungry, it cannot be mine. If I'm feeling thirsty, it can't be mine. If I'm going to the washroom, it can't be mine. All of those shows that it's going away, you refuel it, again goes away, refuel it, goes away. This cycle is going to be there everywhere. So that's it on this form. And we'll take feelings next time. Any comment, any question, anything to discuss? Yes, sir, you go ahead.
I wasn't paying 100% attention, but I think you used to say with the tejo, with the heat, there's oja, there's a nutrient, right? What's the best way to understand? Let's say a wood got depleted by burning. Can you say the oja has depleted? How do you say?
Oja would be there. If that was not there, it couldn't burn.
Right, but once it's finished burning, can you say the oja has been?
It still has that carbon. Still has oja, so
okay.
It's going to have still the property would remain.
Mm. But let's say you put the wood in freezer and it's no temperature.
There is cold is also a temperature.
Okay. So how do you see the oja in temperature?
See, that thing is like this. If there is temperature, whatever we call temperature, whether it's cold or hot, it doesn't matter. Oja is part of it. The nutrient is part of it. Example, let's say take some Antarctic location, right? There is a piece of wood. There would be beings who would eat that, right? That means there is nutrients in that wood, which might not be useful to me per se, but there are microbes which would take it, eat it.
Or take it this way. Consider the atom bomb. Just fusion of one atom or conjunction of one atom creates this much power. That means the whole universe is stuffed with so much of power. The potentiality of even an electron and proton touching each other can create this much power.
So that means having matter itself means there's oja. You don't require it to be hot or cold or anything. I mean, just
that's right.
Having matter itself is already oja.
The four would have stayed together. So there is already the energy is generated, right? It's not individual.
Yeah, they cannot be independent.
What's that?
Elements cannot be independent of each other.
They cannot be independent of each other. They can't be. So, yes, sir, you go.
Even though in the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha said you can be put to 4 pieces or cut apart, but in reality it's together.
No, that is to drive the message. The message there. So let's take that. What's the message there? If somebody sees it is completely integrated, right? This body is an integrated piece. So he says that just like a butcher cutting the cow at the center of a street with 4 directions, and he keeps each one of them in each part. Can you find a cow there? That's the first question. Second, one place there is solidity, another place there is some fluid going out, right? And there's some place there's a temperature and there's some movement inside that. So just to drive the point, at that time there was some of the similes what he gives is to drive home the point that what is happening. You have taken this to be an integrated whole.
Whereas it's to help you remove the sanya.
Yes, is to help you to remove the sanya or the perception what you have created in the mind that it's an integrated whole. It always remain integrated. But the law of nature is to integrate to disintegrate. Nothing in this world stays the same even for a moment because it integrates to disintegrate. Then again it integrates, again it disintegrates, again integrate, again disintegrate. Now the shape is who is created this shape? This shape. If you ask me a question, it's created by the chitta. Now why did it create? It wanted to become something. and hence it created this. So we call all of this same kind as humans. And another same kind, we will call that as dogs. Another same kind, we will call it as horses. But if you really see all, it's only the elements. You have designated something because the shape has to be designated. Yes.
So can you say all the integration are due to Sankara?
Yes. So that is the reason he says, Sabbe Sankhara Anicchati Yada Panyaya Passati. One who sees this through wisdom. Atha Nibbindati
Dukhe.
Dukhe Esa Dhammo Visuddhiya. So, if you take those 4 lines, this is Sankhara. Absolutely true. This integration, keeping it as integrated and thinking it is an integration, is a Sankhara. Sabbe Sankhara Anicchati. Arising and passing away. Yes, go ahead. I have a question.
But when the tree is growing, is there Sankara there as well?
Everything is a Sankhara. It's arising and passing away by nature. See, if you see a tree, isn't it arising and passing away? It
But
doesn't know.
there's no intention in that tree.
Are you?
And don't think of the world. The world is in you. The Sankara, this is the tree, is in you. Forget about the nature's dharma of their Sankara as their individuality. Don't go out there. Because if you go out there, you are going out of Dhamma. What is the all, right? Buddha said, Rujjati iti loka, right? I am never telling you outside of this 6 sense element. Means this is the body. Is outside of this body there is no teaching. So even if it is true, don't brainstorm yourself about the sankhara of tree, but think of the sankhara of you creating the tree in your mind. That will lead to nibbana. That knowledge of tree's sankhara will never lead you to nibbana.
It will create even more confusion. Then I will tell you more confusions, Aryu. Okay,
Yeah.
what is tree made up of? So now you will have to come with 4 elements with consciousness. Okay, great. If it is 4 element and consciousness, there's first you have to understand this. It's a good question what you asked and a very good explanation by Sachin. But first,
In fact, I have one more point. The more you know about tree, the more it will be difficult to undo the perception of tree.
exactly. Okay, since you asked this, Aryu, so let me answer you in a Dhamma way. If you take anything in nature, it should have 2 things, Rūpa and Vijnana. Right? Agree with me? Okay. If anything has to grow, it should have Vijnana, which means consciousness. Agree? Now, if anything that has to sense should have sense doors. Agree with me? Okay. So, in the case of tree, creeper, plant, and all of that, it has only Rūpa and Vijnana. Yeah. It doesn't have a sense doors. Eye sense door and ear sense door and nose sense door like that. Okay?
But you used to say the tree can feel. But
Wait for a second. Now you don't go so fast. Wait. Now, the Vijnana, nature of Vijnana is to know. Right? Agree with me? It knows.
Oh, you mean to say without sixth sense it can know?
It knows. It knows. So now question comes what it knows. And Buddha has explained it many times. It knows this is Sukha. It knows this is Dukkha. This is neutral. Vedana is different. Vijnana is different. Otherwise, they would have put both of them under the same tree and said that whatever is felt and whatever is cognized. There is a difference and there is a similarity also. So let's not confuse it.
But tree also should have some sense. For example, tree is able to move. if there is a wall, tree is able to detect if there is something, and there are some advanced tree also.
Hold on. Now I'm going to come to that. Hold on.
Yeah, you're asking the same question.
Yes, he is asking the same question. So now, first and foremost, 2 or 3. 2 is consciousness and Rūpa. 3 is Rūpa, Ayatana, Vijnana. 3. Or 2, Rūpa and Vijnana. Or 3, Rūpa, Ayatana, Vijnana. Clear? Now we'll take some cases. If the tree had Ayatana, it would have escaped. Simple. You pull a twig, take the fruit, eat it. An animal goes and eats some leaves. You think it will allow it to happen? Just think, don't have to answer me. You will come to know whether it has 2 or it has all the 3. So don't have to we don't have to debate. We have to think. Really think. If the tree was like that, then none of us would have got any food. It would say, why should I give it to you? Because it becomes selfish. It has self-interest. The moment ayatana comes, the self gets created. Yes, go ahead.
But the leaves will react to heat, right? There's grass.
Wait for a second. Now, let's first understand whether it is ayatana or not. Whether it has senses or not. If yes,
And that evolution also we need to think of.
if there were to be senses, it will escape, it will think, it will cognize in a way to escape the death, escape anybody eating it or picking it or doing whatever it is. And in all birds, all mammals, all insects, all bacteria, you will see the same exact thing. They would like to escape because they sense. And what do they sense? They sense death. The bare minimum, they sense. Humans also fear death. Dogs also fear death.
Yeah, death is to self. As long as you have self, there is a death.
Yes.
If there is no self, there is no death.
Exactly. So if it had 6 senses, just like any other, it would have not given you a single fruit. It wouldn't have given you a single fruit, I'm telling you. Why it should give? Why it should share? It has I, not give. Okay. Now coming to just the Vijnana portion. The Vijnana is to know. So if it knows there is a danger, that limited extent it will try to do something. So now let us say sun is not falling on the creeper or on the tree. It will modify itself to get the sunlight. The photosynthesis it knows. You don't have to teach photosynthesis to a tree or to a creeper or to a plant. We might call that as photosynthesis, but it already knows how to pick up water from the ground. It knows.
So the element by which it senses the photosynthesis, right? Even our ears, there are receptors, temperature receptors, right?
Correct.
So elementary, they are receptors only.
Exactly.
So in leaf also, they are receptor,
Yes, they have.
right? But why don't we call it sense? And why we call our skin as a sense?
No, wait. The cells are the same. The plant cells and the animal cells are the same. Agree with me? If you take biology, all the cell structures are the same. It has mitosis, meiosis, it has mitochondria, all that is, there's nothing different. So the nature doesn't distinguish between a plant or an animal or an human or this or that. So the metabolic activity is the same because there is consciousness. Simple as that.
But there's no hadaya vatu for the plants.
Exactly. Now you
Not only Hadai but all the sense, the subtle sense element that we call now, the eye, is not this physical eye. The Prasad Rupa eye, you mean?
yeah, which is the Hadayavatu, what he said. So the Pasada Rupa is that Rupa is not there in a plant or in a tree or in a creeper or in whatever. Yes, go ahead.
So the consciousness bypasses the sixth sense. Without using sixth sense, it knows, you mean to say.
Yeah, that's exactly what he says.
But he needs this receptor, right?
Whatever we call as receptor, it receives information and throws out the information. So
Okay. So consciousness is not totally dependent on this Hradayavatu,
No.
or but it can directly go, but this Hradayavatu is just advancement, nothing much more than that.
exactly. So now what happens here? Hadayavatu, let's call it as an instrument. Just an instrument. Consciousness has got nothing to do with that instrument. That instrument requires this. That instrument requires the consciousness. The instrument requires the consciousness. Not the consciousness requires the instrument. Yes, go ahead.
Just like ChatGPT, you can put in something, output something, as long as there's electricity, it let's say mono rupa for the hadayavatu to consume, right? That's what it process like that.
Yes. So the processing. See now, if you have, since we have studied on the what is that Mahavedala Sutta, so taking that as an example, it's a question which is beautifully asked. He says Vijnana has to be understood. Panya has to be developed. That is the reason. The consciousness, you don't have to teach it what it should do. It has a receptor. It knows what to pick the signal. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything on its own. And hence Buddha calls Vijnana is pure and bright because it is the same in everything. It's same in everything. If the Hadayavatu is pure, it emits exactly that consciousness. So now it can do whatever. Now you can have a tree-like thing, you can have a bird-like thing, you can have a Brahma-like thing, you can have whatever like thing. Okay? But the consciousness per se is pure. And hence he says in the Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta, explaining to Pukkara Sati, says that what is the role of consciousness? Another Dhatu. Says it's pure, right. Just like a beryl gem cut in 8 sides, how it shines. So it is shining like that. So coming back to this equation, you have 2 or 3. Yeah.
And when we say Nama Rupa, like basically the element of coming together of consciousness and the 4 elements itself has this. I think yesterday we were talking, right? That when Nama and Rupa touch each other, there is a feeling, there is a Manasikara and all that.
Correct.
Yes. So basically, you mean to say the consciousness is directly able to touch the Rupa.
No, let us keep the Nama Rupa aside for time being, because what we are talking on that 12 link cycle, what is Samutpada, is the 6 senses consciousness. You really see the Avidya Pachay Sankhara. Sankhara is of 6 senses. Sankhara Pachay Vijnana is of 6 senses. Vijnana Pachay Nama Rupa is of 6 senses. Nama Rupa Pachay Salayatana is of 6 senses. Salayatana Pachay Phasa is of 6 senses. Asya, Pachaya, Vedana, 6 senses. Like that. So let's park it for time being. Otherwise, this form will go into various modes. So if you take a form, this is all what the form is. It has a color, it has shape, and the remaining three elements are associated with it. Now, why the form by itself has no self view? By the form itself, you look from the form perspective, it has no self view. I have a self view, but the form doesn't have a self view. Form doesn't care which shape it is. I care which shape it is, but the form doesn't care. Now, coming to this form, wherever applicable, whether it is Pularika or Sukma, is still a form. Sukuma, as in the sound and the sight and the taste and the touch and the smell and the thoughts, those are Sukuma. They are subtle, but yet form. They are not associated with me, but I am associated with them. The sight doesn't care damn about what I am going to understand about it. The sound doesn't care about what I make out of that sound. The taste doesn't make out of what I am going to make out of that taste. The touch doesn't make out on what I would do about that touch. Smell doesn't care much about what I am going to think about that smell. And the thoughts care damn about what I am going to experience on that thought. Clear? Yes.
And so there's always the raga in the form, but
Yes.
because we have raga, so we see them as
Ours.
we have stickiness. So wherever we touch, we stick, but we feel, oh, this form is,
Exactly. So there are 4 aspects of Dhamma. This is Dhamma. Dhamma means nature. 4 aspects. What are the 4? Khaya Dhamma. Khaya. Shaya. Depletion. Shaya Dhamma, Khaya Dhamma, Vaya Dhamma. Passing out. Viraga Dhamma. Non-attachment. Nirodha Dhamma. Cessation. So, when we meditate using the breath, you are watching the Rūpa and the Nama together. Then you see the Rūpa as Rūpa. And that experience, what you get when you really do the Vipassana, that experience, what you get, shows the quality of the Rūpa. What is the quality of Rūpa? Is Khaya Dhamma, Vaya Dhamma, Viraga Dhamma, Nirodha Dhamma. And what it should be, if I were to take it in the mind, which is Nama, is Anicca, Sankata, Paticca Samutpanna. So this will become the Nama part of it, and that becomes the Rupa part of it. Having understood the Rupa part of it, now I am relieved. It's arising and passing. It's conditioned. This structure is conditioned. It's not unconditioned. It's conditioned. This structure is conditioned. Sankat. Third one. Paticca Samutpanna. It has arisen with 2 conditions. Birth, decay, and death. Like that, I can see 2 of these conditions. See that everywhere it is the same. If a plant is coming, it keeps on growing and leaves falling and that falling and this falling and grows, and again something will fall, again something will fall, again something will fall. We call that as a tree. That's the Nama. But what is happening in the Rūpa? It's arising, passing, arising, passing, arising, passing. Khaya Dhamma, Vaya Dhamma, Viraga Dhamma, Nirodha Dhamma. This is the Dhamma, nature. That one which I am thinking is real, is anicca, sankata, paticca samutpanna. These 7 forms the nature of everything I am cognizing. I am seeing, sensing, hearing, tasting, smelling, thinking have the same property now. The sound comes, Kaya Dhamma, Maya Dhamma, Viraga Dhamma, Nirodha Dhamma. Yes.
It's like having a girlfriend, and one day find the girlfriend has never, liked you, so you're like, forget it. I also don't need this girlfriend.
Exactly. You're right. So now, smell. You are not doing anything to the smell. The smell is not doing anything to you. The nose receives the smell. Just receive the smell. And it goes away. So that is the reason to Bahiya he says, Dite dite mattam, Te mute mattam, Sute sute mattam, Vinyate vinyate. So these 7, if you add together, gives you an experience that it is there with you. But when you really see with an eye, wisdom eye, you see they are never there with you. The smell came, touched, it's a Rūpa. You cognized it as a Rūpa. You will then say, good smell, bad smell. Smell is a smell. Taste is a taste. Touch is a touch. Sight is a sight. Sound is a sound. Thought is a thought. All of those has a characteristic of the Dhamma. Dhamma, Vaya Dhamma, Viraga Dhamma, Nirodha Dhamma. You tell me whichever thought you had from the childhood till today has ever stayed with you, saying that I would love to stay with you. I love it. No, it just comes and goes away. And you can't even produce the thought you wanted it to be. You will always get random thoughts. You just cannot do anything. You get random smell. You get random taste. You get random touch. You get random sights. You can't call anything as yours. Let me make the sight as mine. Let me make the sound as mine. Let me make the touch as mine. It's very simple. We really see. This is Rūpa. A complete Rūpa. You are hearing a sound there. If you are seeing the building there, are you where you think it's a longest one and all that in that area? And if you really concentrate on that, it is just Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu. Somebody hits on top of that, it just falls down. No raga is there in that. It will not think, shucks, man, so many people are going to get killed, I should not fall. No. If earthquake happens, structure comes down. Yes, go ahead.
Because the Rūpati iti Rūpa, right? So it can get afflicted like that.
It doesn't get afflicted, but you get afflicted. Rūpati iti Rūpa, because you have the 6 sense doors. You got the point. So when we see ourselves, it is 3. Rūpa, Ayatana, Vijnana. When you see any non-living, it's only Rūpa. If you see something which is living, it has Vijnana. So tree, creeper, grass, all that which has life has Rūpa with Vijnana. And Vijnana knows that somebody is stamping on that, it knows. But it doesn't have a sense to do what it has to do with that. Hey, how can you walk on me? That it will not do.
Because the raga comes in the senses.
Exactly. The raga is in the senses. The dvesha is in the senses. The moha is in the senses. The instrument has a problem. The consciousness doesn't have a problem. Neither the Rūpa has a problem. This in-between thing which is Ayatana has a problem. So you are cleansing the Salayatana, which has Phassa, which creates Vedana. Then it creates Tanha. Then it creates Upadana. Then it has Bhava. Then it has Jati, Jara, Marana, which is there. The 6 senses are coming and going.
They create the duality, right? The I and
So the I, not EYE, I is sight, my sight, my sound, my taste, my touch, my smell, my thought, or a combination of these.
the sense of self is primordial. Otherwise, there is no that and there is no this.
Exactly.
Right? So if there is no sense of self, there is no that, there is no this. So where is Rupa? Rupa is just this ocean, right? The table, the TV, this body. I cannot say this Rupa and that Rupa. It's collectively just Rupa.
Exactly.
If you have no sense of self, let's say I am just a tree, right? I just become tree. A tree cannot say I am,
Yes.
right? So for the tree, the person standing in front of the tree is not that. Right? This is the human. It
Wait.
cannot perceive that as a human.
Right.
Human, tree, nothing. It's just Rupa.
Wait for a second. Now, what's the difference then? Can I make myself as a tree? No. The senses have one another thing. If it cleanses, if the raga, dvesha, moha goes away, the vijnana has something called as bliss. And that is felt by the senses, which is the mind. Okay.
Okay. So we can say bliss dhatu, bliss element, it's still there.
That's the reason he says nibbana dhatu.
Which is not there in tree.
Exactly. It's not there in tree. Number two, you can decide, that is, the senses can decide, that is, mind, sense door. Mano vijnana dhatu can decide whether to appear or disappear completely.
Can you repeat, because I was thinking?
No.
My question is, bliss, then where it came from?
Vijnana is always blissful.
Why tree is not blissful?
Because it doesn't have senses to feel the
Okay. So the presence of sense is blissful.
Wait for a second. Let's clarify. What is vijnana? Awareness. Is vijnana. Doesn't the tree become aware? Yes, it does. The grass doesn't become aware. It becomes aware that it is cloudy. It becomes aware that it is not having water. But does it cry, give me water? If there's no water, it starts to dwindle. The vijnana goes away from there. Same with human body. The vijnana goes away from there. Same with animal body. Vijnana goes away from there. Who feels it then? There should be a feeler. And that feeler is a Saraitan.
Okay, Saraitan feels.
It has to feel, right?
Vedana is a characteristic of Saraitan.
Now we are coming into the topic itself. See now.
Because blissfulness is felt, right?
Now bliss. When we say bliss, what is bliss? Non-appearing, non-demise is bliss. Right? Non-appearance, non-cessation is.
Can you speak in Sanskrit? Can you speak in Sanskrit that? This word you came from Sanskrit, right?
Which one?
Hinduism. Non-appearing, non-demising.
Non-appearance and non-disappearance, right? It's nothing to do with Sanskrit or whatever it is. That is all it is, right? If you look at the Dhamma, what does he say? If you look at the Pali itself, what does he say? It doesn't arise, it doesn't cease.
Okay.
In Nibbana, what happens? There is nothing arising, nothing ceasing. Unconditioned. Asankhata means what?
Achati.
There is
So Nibbana is also blissful. No.
Nibbana is a paramam sukha means what? It means what? You have to.
But you cannot feel Nibbana, right? You can just know it.
Fine. The knower is known, right? Awareness is knowing and consciousness knows. You don't have to teach consciousness what it is. And hence,
because you have bring together the blissfulness and Nibbana. Blissfulness is actually third jhana which we dropped, right? I was thinking that way.
Okay, call it by whatever name you want. You want to call it as bliss, or you want to call it as nibbana, call it by whatever name. If there is no
Okay, go ahead.
conditionality, if the condition were to stop, meaning what is the condition? Avidya pache, sankhara, sankhara pache, vijnana, vijnana pache, nama rupa, like that. If that if that paticca samutpada cycle were to stop at the very moment you are in asankata dhatu. So there is sankata dhatu, asankata dhatu. Dhatu means element, dhatu means quality. So when we say asankata dhatu, the quality of asankata dhatu is non-movement. There's nothing to move. So whatever is the state of the consciousness, what is the state of consciousness? Is to be blissful, or even in the words of Buddha, it's what? Pure and bright. Pabhasaram id chitta. Correct? Agree with me? Now, Pabhasara means what? Shining. Now, you add whatever you want. You want to call it as blissful, you want to call it as coolness, you want to call it as non-arising, non-departing, by whatever words we could use, we could use. Wait. So, let me finish this. So, now, Vijnana or Chitta becoming bright. What it becomes bright of? It knows its own nature. That's all. That means the ayatana with which it was referring to something stops referring to that, and it's by nature, by its own nature, is blissful or is unconditioned.
But still you need ayatana, at least the presence of ayatana.
Yeah.
Right?
Ayatana is going to be there. See,
Yeah.
the 6 ayatana are going to be there. It's not that the ayatana goes away. Ayatana is going to be there. But instead of creating sankata, you
Yeah.
are not creating anything at all out of it.
Correct. Because after parinibbana, we cannot say he is blissful, right?
No, nothing is there.
Because ayatana drops.
If the ayatana is not there, there is nothing to sense any longer. So there is no coming, there is no going. And if you read the Bhaya Sutta, he explains that. There is no coming, no going, no staying, all of that. Right? You call by whatever names you want to call. But that is that state where nothing comes and nothing goes. If there is a coming, there is a going. Ittha bhava, anyatha bhava. If there is something arising, it will depart. Right? So,
Ayatana,
Vyaya Jnana is that only.
so nibbana is the ayatana knowing that, right? And then surrendering into that infinite.
Exactly.
That nothing comes, nothing goes, so why am I here?
So, now, question comes. On the tree, the consciousness is aware, irrespective of a tree or a creeper or a human or an animal or a deva or a brahma or whatever it is. The consciousness is aware. It's just pure awareness.
Yeah, that infinite consciousness. We cannot say trees consciousness.
It cannot say tree's consciousness.
Yeah, right. Because, and we can't even say that tree is Nibbana,
No.
right? Because it was from the beginning, it was not, came here.
Yeah.
So it cannot say Nibbana.
Exactly. There's no coming and there's no going. Yes, sir. You now I'll give you the whole thing. But
No, I just had a simple thing. I was thinking there's Vijnana, and there's a Vijnana in the context of Ayatana, right? But when Buddha says most of the teaching is all about this 6 Vijnana, which is he does not give like a Yogacara, he talks about the 7 and 8 and all that stuff. Because the Ayatana is what matters. If you drop these Ayatana, this Vijnana with the context of Ayatana, then it ends.
so I'll tell you one thing. The difference in philosophy and difference in understanding. The philosophy talks about philosophies, whichever form it has been, talks about the deathless, defining the deathless. So they get into lot of unnecessary situation because you can't define deathless. Clear?
Mhm.
You can't give an experience of deathless to anyone. I can't say that, hey, Sachin, I'll give you deathlessness. Enjoy.
Yeah, that's what my next question point was.
You can't. So what Buddha did, he looked at what is unstable. Just work on that. Don't think about what is stable. Let it be stable. You don't have to call it. Work out only which is unstable. Look at what is unstable. Don't worry about what is stable. Adhuva. Dhuva means stability. Adhuva means unstable. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, and that's where exactly the Hinduism and Buddhism certainly differentiate, because the person after death he gets moksha and he becomes infinite, but he still has not given up something, some sankara is there, some potentiality of coming back is there. Sarayatana is not there, right? If the person in Hinduism has got the ultimate state, let's say Brahma.
Forget Hinduism, forget all isms. Just let's stick to this. One way to approach is to
Okay,
define.
the Deva and Brahma, can we say he has Ayatana?
Every being has ayatana. Whether it is a good ayatana or a bad ayatana, that is separate. Right? Yeah, they have ayatana. Yes.
Just looking at the Ajata Sutta, right? The Buddha said there's Ajatam, Abhutam, Akatam, and Asankatam. So all these are unstable. So he focused on the unstable and removing these.
Yes. So instead of defining what is stability, Buddha did the other one. Look at what is unstable. Don't define what is stable, because you will never experience what is stable. No matter how much you define it, you will be wasting your time in keep on defining through this way or that way, that other way, whatever language and connotation you're going to use. Okay. So in the Mahanidana Sutta, DN 15, he asked this question to Ananda. If Vijnana itself were not to be, can you designate something? No. Meaning, if you want some awareness happen, the Vijnana has to be there. Consciousness has to be there. Now you can't define consciousness what it is. That would be stupidity. You can designate, but you can't keep on defining consciousness is this, consciousness is that, conscious is like light, consciousness. Then you'll imagine light. No, consciousness is darkness. Oh, darkness means what? So now you define what is darkness. So this structure giving, Buddha says, not required. Instead, see what is unstable, adhuva. Okay, everything is adhuva. So work out only on unstable. Work out only which is arising and ceasing. Don't work out on anything else, because all sankharas are nitya, dukkha, anatta. Be only on that. That's the reason he keeps on saying sabbe sankhara anicchati yada panyaya passati. Okay. Now, if we see it this way, now if you are able to understand that, then your dukkha, which is holding on to, goes away. Atha nibbandite dukkhe eso maggo visuddhya.
Sanatana. This would be.
This is for all the three. He recites this for all the three. He recites for anicca, he recites for dukkha, that's for here. Atha nibbindati, nibbidda is nibbana itself. Dukkhe, the dukkha of holding it, it's mine. You just let go of it. That's the true nature of consciousness. Of what? Being aware. I just passes away, but why are you shaking along with it? Its nature is to arise. It arises in front of you and passes. So when we are saying there are certain terms used, there's a karta bhava, karta, to make it. Bhokta is to enjoy it. Sakshi,
Why is laughing?
I don't know, he's having one another person along with him.
No, I was just thinking about the girlfriend example again. Like the girlfriend itself does not care about you.
Okay, so now if I come into a thinking that I'm doing something like what that forest monk was saying, the moment you say that I'm doing meditation, it's gone, because there's no doer. There's nothing to be done per se. Language wise, we have to say, hey, we are meeting on so and so date, but you are not meeting anyone or anything at all. There's nothing to be met. If you keep your meeting someone, you already created sankhara. Avidya, pachaya, sankhara is already there. Okay. So now you are going to struggle, going to work out, because we meet, we depart. See, 1st of Jan, we are going to meet. But no matter how much you love to be there, the 7th Jan is going to come. You are going to depart. Right? That's the truth of it. We are going to depart. We can't stick along with that. So what all did we meet? Rūpa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vinyana. The 6 Vinyana, not that Vinyana what we are talking. 6 Vinyana. They arise along with the Rūpa and depart. They arise along with the Shabda, they depart. They arise along with the Gandha, they depart. They arise along with the Pottabha, they depart. They arise along with the Jiva, they depart. They arise along with the Mano and they depart. So arising and passing is a nature. You can't do anything. So that sabbe sankhara anicca yatha panyaya pasati. You have to see it through wisdom. You see, atta nibbiddati dukkhe eso maggo visuddhi. That is a path of liberation. Why? Because they know the sankharas are in samatha. So you are not creating anything out. Relieved of the pain. So with Rūpa, we covered almost everything. So now you are not left any chance for me to talk about Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara. So we'll do it again only on Vedana and all that. But it's nice to. So conclusion. There are 2 or 3. 2 is Rūpa with Vijnana, Rūpa, Salaitana, Vijnana. What we are cleansing is not Rūpa and Vijnana. What we are cleansing is the Salaitana. So when we say Avidya, is not understanding the anicca nature in the Salaitana. Yes, go ahead. Achin, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, cleansing of Sanatana or cleansing from?
The mind, when whatever the chitta has what? The chitta appears in all the 6 sense doors, right? See, you read any sutta on Mara. There's one sutta on Mara where Buddha says, Mara comes and says that this I is mine, sight is mine, I conscious is mine, and the Vedana coming out of I is mine. And Buddha says, yes, Papi, this is yours, this is yours, this is yours. I have given it to you. Enjoy.
It's the ayatana is the feeding ground of Mara.
Mara's
Exactly.
domain.
The ayatana itself itself is Mara. Okay, and hence 3. So if you
Yeah.
leave the Rūpa, Vijnana will be no coming, no going. Instead of defining what is Nibbana, Buddha did the other way around. He didn't want to define anything. He said, just
Yeah.
look at what is arising and see.
Because Nibbana seems like an event, right? In Nibbana of whom? Who is getting Nibbana?
So who is
right?
not coming? Who will not have rebirth? All
when,
that.
when I say I am Nibbana, that means birth and death kind of thing, right? But
Exactly.
if you ask 3, he's just 2.
Yeah.
And he is infinite.
Yeah. So
He
now,
don't even know that I am limited to a tree.
so there is another statement which I love it a lot is Vinyanam, Anidasanam, Anantam, Sabbatobhabam. Just look at that. Vinyana, Anidasana, undirected, unmanifest. Anidasana, Anantam, no anta, no ending, right? He's given the answer there itself. Sabbato Pabham. Shining everywhere. Yes.
I'm thinking about like a light coming, which is Vijnana, but you put a prism there, and it becomes shattered in 6 colors, and you create the world out of that. But you
Exactly.
shatter this prism, and you have Vijnana.
Exactly. Right. So, how it happens? He explains it. How this Vijnana gets muddled up. Yatha, when Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu comes. Yatha, Diga, long. Rasa, short. Anu, Thula, atomic, fat. Shubha, Ashubha. This kind of differentiation, distinguishing is part of Vijnana. Can distinguish. The moment it distinguish what it does, it creates Nama Rupa. Yatha Namancha Rupancha. He says, Asesam Uparujjati. Completely ending it. Not even a trace of Nama Rupa left. Vijnanasa Nirodhena. This Vijnana will not now come back. Which Vijnana? You can ask, which Vijnana will come back? This Vijnana, which is called as Chitta, where it is coming through the eye, coming through the ear, coming through the nose, coming through the tongue, coming through the body, coming through the mind, and representing itself as this or that. That doesn't happen. Yathesam uparuj. It still doesn't say you will be Nibbana. Otherwise, these people would have eaten him. We are also saying the same thing. You are also saying the same thing. So he ends there. So now, if a intelligent person understand, oh, if I come out of condition, that's all I need to do. I don't have to define unconditioned. All that I need to do is to come out of condition. Unconditioned, no more I explain, the worse it gets. I can say Nibbana is like a light. What kind of light? White light? Red light? Green light? Blue light? This light? That light? Big light? Small light? So for that only he said, Yatta digancha rasancha anuthula shubha ashubha. No defining in that way. Yatta namancha rupancha asesam viparujjati. And this is removed of nama and rupa completely. Then the Vijnana has become Nirodha. Okay, good thing. Almost 10 o'clock. Shall we end?